lads and ladies. Brad the Guitologist here. This is part 2 in a series of my recent trip to the Dallas International Guitar Festival. If you have not yet seen part 1, I will put a link in the upper right hand corner of your screen right now. I recommend you watch that video first. In this video, we'll look at even more amazing and rare instruments and amplifiers you don't get to see every day, and some more affordable instruments which are nonetheless interesting and worth a second look. In part 1 of the series, I managed to sell my 2002 PRS Custom 22 tin top with birds and trim, so there's about $2,200 burning a hole in my pocket. Stick around to the end to see what I end up picking up. So grab a favorite drink and a comfy chair and let's get started.
What's the bridge?
Sophia.
Oh,
Sophia Bridges.
so he's this is cousin.
It's gone.
Yeah, they're really nice. I got the non-truck version. Check it out. It's pricey. Yeah, it's expensive for what it's essentially a stock build.
Cool to get a sticker?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it. What's your
Some pics if you want to.
Oh, right on. What's your company? Ninja Pedals.
Yeah, so
All
we
right.
mostly sell like vintage guitar effects.
Eventually, I want to make one of those.
Sweet.
Yeah.
How long you been doing it?
I've been doing about 7 years.
And you just amassed? Had you already had a collection before that?
Well,
Surely.
you know, I started out with a small collection and then just kind of started selling them online, and the next thing you know,
It just gets out of control?
500 pedals, yeah.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, thank you for the sticker. I appreciate it. So one thing this show thankfully didn't have a ton of was brand new, Gibson and Fender guitars. I feel like over the years I've probably seen just about all the new Fender and Gibson guitars I would ever care to see. So those interest me a lot less. And booths like this that have a lot of just brand new guitars for Gibson or Fender, I'm less interested in. I do like the off-brand stuff, the weirdo stuff. But, I'm not going to spend my time going through a bunch of brand new Gibsons when I can see all the vintage stuff, or stuff that's just a little more interesting than that. Also, here's a couple more examples of just how crazy the prices have gotten in recent years. A silver-face champ for $1,000 at one time would have just been, you'd have been laughed out of the room with that kind of pricing. Even the $1,800 Princeton, which is a bit more desirable of an amp, is just, crazy pricing. But as I said in, the last video and in some of the comments, usually the pricing at places like this are more of a suggestion than a hard line. They're just a place for negotiations to get started, and you shouldn't be offended if somebody prices something way too high. And, you know, by contrast to the dealers shouldn't be offended if somebody comes along and gives them what they would consider a lowball offer, because you're just trying to start a conversation about the price and see where you get. So some super nice acoustics in this booth, but that's Silverburst right there caught my eye. I had a 79 Gibson Silverburst at one point, and I was checking the neck there to see if it was the one that I used to have, because the finish had been taken off the one that I had. Here's a 53 Gibson. I'll put a link up in the upper right hand corner if you want to see a video of me working on a very early Gibson like this, actually working on the bridge. And that's why I was focusing in on this one in particular, because it looks like someone may have taken the original bridge and reshaped it, possibly, you know, with some files or with a grinder or something like that, you know, so that it was a more usable instrument. Unfortunately, they destroyed the original bridge, but it looks like they did make that one more playable. You can get replacement bridges now that are like that without destroying your original, though. Like I said, just some nice instruments in this booth, man. Some good stuff. There's yet another old P-Bass. Les Paul Deluxe there. Prices on those have come way up too, man, for those 70s Deluxe Les Pauls. $30,000 P-Bass. And again, you know, prices are just a suggestion on stuff like this, really. That's the way I take it, anyway. That Martin right there, oh man, my heart stops when I see an old Martin like that.
Oh my God.
Just a thing of, you hear me there, man. Just a thing of beauty. It just jumps out at me. That airplane bridge guitar right there, that was made to commemorate, and that ukulele as well. Those were made to commemorate the transatlantic flight of Charles Lindbergh. So that one is, what, around late 20s, early 30s. I think they made those for a couple years. Lots of more modern boutique amps here mixed in with some older stuff. Another Vibrolux reverb. I just did one of those on the channel recently. I'll put a link up there for that too if you want to check it out. Just lots and lots of killer stuff, man. Lots of killer amps. I mean, look at that Marshall, that Showman right there. I mean, it's kind of getting harder to find the piggyback amps from Fender that are complete, you know, that have the cabinets and the heads. And I didn't realize at first, but this is a little 20 watter. This is what model was that? Yeah, it's not one of their bigger amps. This should be one of the EL84 powered amps. Right there. Which you do not see a lot of. Cool Valco guitar right there, really nice. And that Jimmy Reed guitar right beside it, I have one of those I need to restore. This one is labeled Old Craftsman. Mine is actually labeled K. And they want over $2,000 for that, which is good because I gave way less than that for mine. Another 1950s Martin. You know, those are starting to come up in price. It's not just a fluke. The thing is, you know, the 30s ones, which are considered the pinnacle golden age Martins, are out of reach for almost everybody. But the 50s Martins, 40s Martins are still within reach for a lot of people. So the prices of those have started to steadily climb. I've particularly noticed that since I got my 50s Martin, because every now and then I'll look at it just to see where the prices are on those, and I've noticed them climbing. A 54 00, yeah, you know, they're probably not too far off on that. That small-bodied Gibson right there kind of caught my eye. Look how much smaller that is than everything around it. I forget the model number on that. I wish I'd looked at the tag. It was just interesting that they made a body that size, you know, in an arch top. And a purple Marshall. How many times do you ever see purple? I mean, that's nuts right there. That's a killer amp. It's a shame about some of the big dings on the front, but that's a super bass as well. So that thing would be loud and proud and purple. Insane amp. Another killer old Martin. You could tell it's a... I mean, that's definitely 40s or 50s. And that's kind of what I went for, is like a triple O. I was looking for like a triple O because I have a, you know, I have a Dreadnought Martin, and really wanted to come away from the show with a triple O in hand. But I'll kind of spoil it a little bit and tell you that that really doesn't happen. I end up getting some other stuff. I won't tell you exactly what, but I do get some stuff, and we'll check it out later. Cool super amp, pro amp. Another Jimmy Reed. A little bit less on that one. That's a silver tone labeled version. So you can see they made that in a couple different versions. That same style guitar. And it's a hollow body, actually. Hollow body electric. That's a very clean silver-faced Princeton. I'm not sure if that was reissue. Another Vibrolux reverb. And for those of you who don't know, that's the amp that I recently have changed my mind and called the best amp that Fender ever made. And you can argue in the comments down below whether you agree. Another Silver Burst Les Paul back there. That's an original one for sure.
Remember when they were the best deal at $600? Yeah.
Little deluxe reverb for $2,200, man. A silver face deluxe reverb. I mean, that's way higher than I'm used to seeing them. But that's, you know, when they're selling the new ones for, you know, kind of close to that price, it's, I imagine it drags the prices of the old ones up with it. Yet another very early Les Paul there. 52 or 53. Pretty sure that one is a 58 or 59 right there. And this one is definitely a 58. It says there on the tag, 58 Les Paul. That's a gorgeous guitar, man. Wow. Did you see the figuring in that thing? This one, it says on the tag 52/58, so I don't know if it has it has a serial number of 58, so maybe they put a 58 neck on a 52 body and then did like later specs on the, they redid the bridge and tailpiece maybe? I don't know. Nice gold top there. That was a 54 probably. And then this Mary Kay right here. That's an actual 1959 Mary Kay Strat, and just a gorgeous guitar. I don't care who you are, man. That thing is... That's absolutely beautiful. But you see what I mean, you know, who wants to go look at a lot of newer stuff if you've got this old stuff that's so gorgeous laying around? I'd much rather go look and talk about that stuff than anything new, Gibson or Fender. Still got a long way to go. Haven't even been through half of it. And my battery's already starting to run low. I'm down to 34 minutes of battery, so I might kill it here in a minute and get the rest tomorrow. I thought this was kind of a weird guitar. And I Want My MTV Martin. Has a little MTV in the headstock. That's just a weirdo, Martin. Nice old crackle Jackson with the reverse shark fins. I mean, I say old. I think that's a newer reissue. They had some cool 80s guitars in this booth, man. They had some, that right there, that Pacer. That's an, well, I say American. It's probably one of those that was ESP made, assembled in America. Pacer. It should be about an 87. That's it. Dan Armstrong there. Clear guitar. Those are modular. You could pull the pickups out of those. Yeah, you know, there's just all kinds of different booths here, man, you know, with different focuses, or different foci, I should say. Foci, not focuses. Some guilds. Always love my guilds. Or I guess one guild, eh? So, you know, that's a Eric Clapton, Martin at the end there, and then these caught my eye. That birdcage Altec right there. Microphone. I asked him about it later. I think he said he wanted like 2 for it. That's 2,000. Some more cool amps. The faux resonator was over there. This caught my eye because it has, you know, it's a Charvel, missing pickup, but could be returned to a workable guitar. I think that's a Model 4. But for $600 with a missing pickup, you know, maybe a bit on the high side, but those prices on those things have actually come way up, and that's legit. People are buying those way more now than they did at one point. Really nice amps right here. I mean, some gorgeous stuff. And they've done a good job on this booth with their presentation. You can see the, you know, the rugs that they use and all that stuff. Another Dan Armstrong clear guitar there. They've got some cool things in this booth. And there's an Echo Park amp. You guys have seen me talk about Echo Park guitars probably before, and I've talked to the owner of Echo Park Guitars on the channel before, and he's a pretty cool cat. He actually stayed the night over at my house one time on his way back home from Nashville. I don't seem to recall him saying that he had done amps, though, so that's interesting to see an Echo Park amp. An 82 custom there. And of all the things that I look at, that Iron Maiden gig bag. catches my eye. That Gibson back there in the corner is kind of eyeballing me too. You know, 2,500 for a 68. Those are just really good sounding acoustics, man. You know, 68's kind of late for any collectors to be interested. So that makes them really good players, man. You can pick those up, and they do sound good. You know, a lot of people thumb their noses up at the ones with the wooden bridges because they made those for a while, and also the ceramic bridges. But in my experience, they pretty much all can sound pretty damn good. But you can always go in there too and replace the bridge if you want, or excuse me, you know, the saddle rather, not the whole bridge, but the saddle, which are adjustable. But as long as it didn't need a neck reset or something like that, 2,500 is, I mean, that's fair. It's a very fair price, I'd say, in today's market.
I'd make a deal on the lot. There's 58.
There's an old strap down there. I'm not sure why I didn't pick it up. I'm only just now noticing it. I don't think I saw it when I was standing there because I was listening to these guys talk about these. That's what I was doing. I was standing there pretending to look at stuff, and I was listening to their conversation about those tubes. Okay, so this Flying V right here, this guy said the person he got it from claimed it came from a freaking landfill. Okay? And he's saying right here, you can kind of hear it, that he told two different stories. He told him one story, and when he tried to sell it to Guitar Center at one point, he told them a different story, that he bought it from a guy outside of a pawn shop. But it is legit. That is a legit 59 Flying V, man. 58, 59, whatever. And there are not many of those in the world. But to hear that one might have come from a landfill, you know, it's just, I mean, that's just too weird. But stranger things have happened, I guess. Okay, this one is a legit first year Fender 51P bass. 50 grand. This was in the Jimmy Wallace booth. How's it going?
Oh, well, man.
Love your guitars.
Oh.
I've owned a couple of them before.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Been a while. So these are Warrior guitars, and if you've never played one of them, they're just really, really well-made boutique guitars. Really high-end, really nice feeling, nice playing guitars. The fit and finish is really excellent. I mean, beyond excellent. You know, kind of Paul Reed Smith-ish kind of, you know, shapes, but they do some beveling on the tops that are a bit different. And oh yeah, so here's what the air conditioner turned into. Check out this Torrent. Remember in part 1 where the air conditioner was just a drip? Look at this, it's like raining inside now. I kind of felt bad when I saw it because I was like, holy crap, man, it got that bad. Okay, these amps right here, those are really, really cool, and I really want to shout the guy out because I did play one later. Longhorn amps. I played that amp up front right there later on, and it was like a Dumble clone, and man, that thing sounded good. It sounded so damn good. I didn't get any video of it, but I want to shout the guy out. He was super cool, and he had some really great builds, and, you know, I like to acknowledge the amp builders because, you know, we're kind of a small community, and we should shout out when we do a good job. That guy did a great job on his stuff, man. They're really nice sounding amps. If you ever get a chance to play one of those Longhorn amps, dude, check them out. They were sick. The one I played through was rocking. Yeah. There you go, man. Gotcha.
My name's Prouvain. I'm with the original coin guitar picks. I make every single one of these guitar picks by hand out of coins, tokens, casino chips, round flat things. They're totally functional, playable picks because I double bevel them, bevel the sides, bevel the edges, and I bevel the nose as well. So it actually reduces friction, reduces touch on the strings. Sounds amazing.
So this is the sort of thing we're looking at. So you tell me about the process of where you start. Obviously, this one begins with a coin,
right?
But you have a lot of things that looks like you were starting with that are not coins. Tell me about some of the variety.
Right. So some of these are commemorative rounds, silver pieces, gold pieces, platinum. I've done work from titanium, and so it's commemorative pieces. Sometimes they're hat pins. Sometimes they're casino chips, as I mentioned. And really, you know, it's all about the finishing process, not where it starts.
Who's doing the painting on these? Is this an in-house operation?
That's where the coin actually comes.
Oh, okay.
So it's a commemorative that comes with the ceramic coating on it, and so that's why you see some of the metal exposed, because I had to remove some of that when I was finishing it.
Gotcha. So these are, tell me about price ranges for, like, for instance, this is a post 64, so this is a Cupro, or it's more of like a German silver kind of.
So this is 40% silver, 60% copper.
Copper, yeah, exactly.
Right, so anything pre-64 is going to be 90% silver. Different metals have different nuance, so they can all be used for any kind of music. However, I've found that different percentages of silver or copper or bronze or brass, they all have different nuance to the tone for different styles of play.
Yeah, I do know, for instance, Ben Franklin's, any of those are 90%.
That's right.
These are all 90%. Morgan's, and then you've got some peace dollars.
Yep, and I even have some commemorative proof coins from the 2000s, late 90s that are 90% silver.
That was interesting.
So that's a Cupro nickel 86.
Yeah.
But some of these others from the 90s and 2000s are 90% silver proofs.
Very cool. And that you did a whole set here, didn't you? That's cool.
So this is the Bicentennial 1976 proof 40% silver set. So you get the Jazz 3 size, the 351 size, and the Jumbo.
Wow.
And so you can use it for all different styles of play.
So what would you be asking on a set like this?
So this set's $100.
Okay.
And all the picks, you know, they start modestly and can get pretty outrageous depending on what they're built out of.
Well, $100 is not outrageous in my estimation. Like if you're
no, but $2,500 for a solid gold pick gets a little more.
That's
gets
outrageous.
a little more robust.
Yeah, exactly.
So like this guy right here.
Right.
So that's a 1959 22 karat gold piece from Mexico.
Okay. Yeah, so you do a lot of different other countries, currency and stuff like that.
Different countries, and there's commemorative silver pieces that come out for, you know, Darth Vader or Aquaman or different things like that. You know, really anything that's interesting that I can get my hands on. I play music, so I tour the country. I pop into antique stores and coin shops and find cool stuff, bring it back, make picks out of it.
Very cool. Yeah, definitely check him out at coinguitarpicks.com. Yeah, man. Very cool. Thanks, brother. So I had to get a short video of this. This tag on this claimed that this Marshall JMP belonged to my friend Greg Martin from the Kentucky Headhunters. They wanted $3K for it. It says it's from 1975. And also the guitar that they had up on the table, they wanted $35K for it. It was an old Gibson. What was it? A 335, 345? Anyway, that belonged to Greg as well. Interesting mix of guitars at this booth. Norland era Gibson there, LS5. A 90 PRS Custom 24. And then look at that Fender right there. They want $4,700 for that 1975 Fender. They say it's in unbelievable condition. I mean, it would have to be for that kind of price for a 75 Fender. That's off the chain. Now that Martin right there, I was eyeballing that very seriously when I sold my guitar. It's the only one that really is within my price range. Had Koa back and sides, and it's a 35 style, so it would be a 3-piece back. you know, that would have been one I would have loved to have taken home and would have been maybe even realistic on a trade, but, you know, things went the way they went, so. Standell. You don't see many Standells. Okay, this is a new one on me. This is definitely a new one on me. A 67 Ampeg reverber rocket. They want almost the better part of $4 grand for it, but look at this thing. This thing is insane. It's got 6v6. Telefunkins. It's got Telefunkins. And it's got one of the Compactrons. What is it, 7199s maybe? How's it going?
Can I help you hold that so you can picture?
Yeah, is this yours?
Scary.
Does this have 7199 power too? Or I mean, not 7199s. 7591s. Okay.
I'm just the assistant.
Gotcha. This is a weirdo. This is a weirdo amp.
I agree.
But in a good way.
No, that's the. I've never seen a color.
That's not. Yeah, that's weird. Hey, thank you for doing that. Appreciate it. So yeah, this thing glows like a reddish color too. That is just oddball city. Do you have the cover for it? Is there anything special about the cover?
You have to ask him what we got. Gary, do we have a cover?
Is the cover just as like a standard Ampeg looking cover?
It's an Ampeg cover. It's in the back here.
Oh,
You
okay.
see the cover?
Yeah, I'll get a picture of it too. I'll put it with it. Maybe I can help you sell it. But that's very interesting amp. Super interesting. Oh God, that wouldn't.
Brad, here's a cover when you want it.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, I appreciate that.
Hey.
Thank you.
My pleasure. I'm getting Mike up with permission.
Never seen one of these before in my life. I thought I'd seen just about every amp there was.
Well, cool. What you looking for? Which one you want to
I think we need that. That sounds pretty good.
Well, look at this thing.
Whoa!
Look at it.
That's awesome.
Dude, it's
What
like...
is that?
Exactly, right? Exactly. I thought I'd seen everything.
I gotta grab a picture of it while you're... That's awesome. Sounds good too.
So yeah, what an absolutely amazing, rare, minty amp that was, right? I mean, that's just a really oddball, cool thing. But this booth right here, I mean, you could tell this booth just had my number written all over it. I mean, everything, train wrecks, old fenders. Look at that Groove Tubes amp there. Trainers, man. This booth had several trainers. This old Silvertone up there. High watts. I mean, he's got the couple of Music Mans. What are those, HD or the 120s? Smaller Music Man down there too. Man, this guy had all kinds of cool amps. I think he was a tech as well, so he knew his stuff. And you know, look at those trainers there. Those ones right under the table those are killer sounding. That's an old Nagra recorder there. See the Silvertone on the bottom shelf. That's old Dan Electro made. They got a Watkins. You know, just the cool oddball stuff, man. A Reverber Rocket up there. Ampeg. Another trainer. Some WEMs, which you do not see very much at all in the U.S. He has two white amps up there on the top. For those who don't know, they're affiliated with associated with early Fender stuff. Yeah, man, Vox there, just a lot of really cool. Michael's tube amps. Cool booth, man. He's got stuff underneath the table back there, too. Looks like maybe he sold earlier on. There's another one of those triple O Eric Clapton signature Martins, man. Those things look great. But these, you know, unfortunately are out of my price range.
What's your other Valco behind that airline right there? That Gretsch?
National.
It's a National, yeah. Excuse me.
We got the Magic Town and Country stuff for each one of them. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You sell them as a set?
displaying them as a set, you know.
Makes sense.
I mean, it's got old tags on it, so.
Oh, that's
The National's super cool, man.
some cool lamps. What are the power tubes in that one? What's the power on? They got the 6973s, looks like.
Man, you're the amp guy.
Sweet. What are you asking on this one?
Man, I gotta wait for him to get down here.
Okay,
I'm
understood.
just a pal, man, and help him out.
I may swing back by.
Okay.
Okay. Right on.
Love the channel, man.
Oh, thanks, brother. Appreciate it. Oh, you're getting a call over
I
here.
like the straightforward, no bullshit.
Yeah. That gets me in trouble a lot. I'll tell you what. How you doing? So the fella who I was talking to there, you know, obviously he knew of the channel, and we became fast friends later on, man. He was staying at the same hotel I was, and we had a really, really good laugh outside the hotel, man. One of these nights, a bunch of us were out there shooting the shit, and he was one of them, man. I'll remember that for probably as long as I live, because I think I have never laughed so hard in my life. But that is an interesting guitar there in the corner, that with 2 strings on it. I don't know what the hell that is. But did you see the headstock on it? It was like a cello headstock. I wish now that I'd gotten a closer look at that thing. I know I'd seen one before, but I cannot place it. If anybody knows what that is, put the timestamp in a comment, please, and tell me what that guitar was. Just more unbelievable Martins. I mean, you know, some top cracks here obviously on this one, but who gives a shit? I mean, it's a gorgeous guitar, man. I'm just a sucker for old Martins. A 52 for 95, and then he's got a 48 for 85. That's a D18. I mean, that right there, oh my God, a 1948 D18. You know, you could say what you want about some of the prices and stuff, man, but if I had that kind of money, that's probably what I would want to spend it on, something like that, like a nice Martin. As far as guitar stuff goes, right now I feel like I've got everything kind of sealed away. I guess, you know, everything else that I need. But I'm a sucker for a great acoustic, man. And I think the prices on those also, they tend to be less speculated on, except for the, obviously, you know, the 30s Martins and stuff like that. And they just tend to appreciate more steadily. Is the guy at the booth?
Yeah, I'm wondering where he is. I see this right here.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to learn more.
Those are decent little beginner guitars, man. They're solid.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to replace my Schecter Diamond Series.
Uh-huh.
Let one guy hang on to it for one day because I was flying to Texas. I told him, just hang on to it. I'll call you as soon as I land so you know where to send it.
And it was gone.
No, he got pinched by the cops and used it to pawn for his
Oh,
bail.
right. Amazing. You got to love friends like that. With friends like that, who needs enemies, right?
Sure.
Long drive east from Tennessee.
Yeah. That's where we came from.
Houston, Nashville.
Did you build this?
I mean, one of our local club members did.
Right. Club? What's the club?
It's just guys building guitars. And
Oh, okay.
The collection. We're mostly a Facebook club, truthfully.
Oh,
We're
right
based
on.
in Dallas, but we meet 4 times a year. It's mostly an interactive social media Facebook group to swap ideas, answer questions, just post, build progresses as we go about.
Yeah. Camaraderie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Eating the bed and,
Yep. Yep.
That's pretty cool, man. Yeah. Very nice cabinets, too.
thank you. So what amplifiers, do you have a favorite circuit?
A favorite circuit? Oh, my gosh. I like Valco stuff, man. A lot of Valco stuff.
I have a friend down in Louisiana who's a big Valco fan.
Yeah. I like all that old stuff, the oddball stuff, the Gibsons, like the 50s Gibsons and stuff, some of that stuff. Of course, a lot of the circuits are pretty similar to other things too. Tweedy, they're kind of tweedy, you know. you know, this is another one of those instances where I'd be remiss if I didn't chime in here for a second and just say how cool that build is on that head. I mean, look at that cabinetry on that Marshall head right there. That is just amazing. The one below it is really great too. But his staining and everything on there with the Union Jack, that's just really creative, really awesome. And, you know, the club that they're a part of sounds like something that more of us need to be a part of. You know what I'm saying? Like the camaraderie that comes along with something like that. That's why our grandfathers, you know, were all Freemasons or owls or what, you know, whatever the club is. But that's why you join clubs, man. It's for the camaraderie and just sharing your interests and sharing your ideas and your experiences and shit. And man, you know, the guitar community kind of needs more of that, and I totally encourage these guys to do more of it. It's really cool.
All right. I'm good. It's always a good day to be breathing. It's always a good day to be breathing, isn't it? Yeah, it sure is. Got to count our blessings when they come, don't we?
Probably had forever. Really? Okay.
Right.
It works. It's a good show.
Howdy, how are you?
Good.
So this is a really forest for the trees moment. You see that Vox right there? And there's that cool Vox, and then I go for this old piece of shit. What is it, a Dynavox? I think I went for it because I didn't know what the hell it was, and I was trying to figure out what it was, but it was a forest for the trees moment because I missed that Vox right beside it, that little AC-15 sized amp. I think it was a one of the Thomas organ ones, though, the tube ones. And this is a 61 Vanguard, so that's a GA77 right there, which, I mean, that should be a 115, and that is going to be an amazing amp for somebody. He wanted he was asking 3K on that thing, but, you know, a little bit rich for my blood for the day, but, you know, another day if I had the money to burn. I mean, obviously I'd try to talk him down, but that was a cool freaking amp. And then this thing caught my eye for sure. And anybody who's watched the channel for any length of time, I'm sure already knows why. You probably already know what I'm going to try to do with this.
It's got a transformer. It's got a transformer. What has it got in it? Two. What is that here? An SQ with a single 6v6 output. Okay. Huh. And then does it have an extension speaker out?
That Princeton recording amp right there is interesting. It's a very, very short-lived experiment. I've preserved one of the promotional videos from that model over on my channel too.
That black one there that has 12 and all that, that's a very functional reverb.
C10s in that? Is this audio Vox or what?
I have no idea what kind of cab it is. We just brought it down because the speakers.
Yeah. I'll tell you. I think that's a Kalamazoo amp, I believe.
Oh, could be.
Because that's the way they used to construct the Kalamazoo amps. That's that shell of one, you know.
Yeah.
I think. Talk to me about this this Newcomb. Did you find this together with this? Is that what you're asking together?
Yeah, that's all together.
Is there a speaker out on this thing? I didn't.
Yeah, it does. It has. So when you open this up, it makes the 2 satellite speakers for the whole thing.
So there's 2 speakers in that.
Yeah.
What
2.
are they? Are they?
We can look it up. We can open it and find out.
Do you mind? Sorry.
We brought them to sell them, and sometimes you gotta,
Show them to sell them, huh?
The tube, it doesn't work.
Yeah. Oh, I assume that.
Yeah. Because if it did, the price would be crazy higher. But my brother, who's here also, the big tall guy.
Okay.
This belonged to his wife's father, I believe.
Okay.
And so she ended up with it and was like, I don't have any need for it.
All right. Well, we got Newcomb labeled, and they're okay. Well, not working. What's your best on it? On the set?
I can call him and I can get him back here in a minute, but it's his deal, so I let him make his
deal. Gotcha. I'd be a buyer at $150.
I doubt he'll go that low.
Okay.
Because he'll end up spending some money, have it fixed, and then he'll triple the price on it.
Yeah. I don't think you'd get it out of it at that.
Yeah, what's your bottom dollar on your little tube PA? That's deal. Yeah. I got $150 off. Yeah. All right, I'll do it. He said take it.
Did move it? All right, man.
Yep.
Sounds good.
It does
I'll
sound
shake
good.
your hand.
Yeah, I'm
Consummate that deal. Nice to meet you, man.
I didn't think he'd take that, so I'm glad I called him.
Well, I'm glad you did too. Appreciate it. I noticed this. That's why I came to the booth right there. I was like, what the f is that?
Yeah, exactly. Now look, check this.
Oh, it's a Zenith. Yeah, the Zenith.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
seen one of these?
It's a transoceanic, isn't it?
Yeah. Hey,
Should be 50s, late 50s.
What model is this?
Well, it's in 1941, and if you look on the back of it, it tells the model like a B something.
It looks like, yeah, the forerunner to the
first portable.
Yeah.
It's got the antenna in the back that
big horseshoe that you pull out of the back and hang up.
Right. That's
Don't
cool.
forget to take a picture
Cool.
of a dynamite box down there at the bottom.
All right, will do, man.
Okay, so that's nice to get my first purchase under my belt there. And then I run immediately into this booth. Check this out. Here's a JTM 50 Black Flag from 1967. I've repaired one of those on the channel before. There's a Super Bass from 69, and then just a whole raft of amazing fenders there. There's Tremolux actually from 59. I own a 1960 Tremolux, so I hope his price on that is accurate. $7,000 sounds pretty good to me on that thing. 64 Deluxe. I mean, just a great amp there too. You see a booth like this and you just think this is a person with impeccable taste. You know what I mean? And he even has a Gibson Falcon back there hanging out. One at $750 for the Falcon, which, I mean, the prices on those are coming up, man. The word's out on those. People are, you know, I don't know, maybe some of it's due to a few of my videos showing the mods and stuff. You know, I know that a lot of people have watched those videos because I get people still to this day talking about them. But look at this oddball set. The guitar and the bass. A Colt bass and a Colt guitar. Check that out, man. This is the booth with my cowboy hat wearing friend and his associate. You know, I tried to do a deal on that airline right there you see, and I think we were about $50 apart. We got to, like, I think he was at 500 and I was at 500 maybe, and he was at 550. And we were just, you know, we just never could really quite get together on it in the end. But You know, cool cats, both really nice gents. That amp right there he's messing with, that is a recovered GA20 Ranger, which is one of my favorite amps of all time. It has the GA40, it's the GA20T, excuse me, Ranger. It has the GA40 Les Paul circuit in it for the preamp, and they just sound awesome. That's actually the amplifier. That's a little bit later version of the same amplifier that I showed over at my friend Steve's studio quite a lot that we play through over there.
So this is a it came like this, this Magnatone. Never seen this model. And it's what, do you know the tubes offhand that it's got in it? I see two 6L6s. It's got 6L6, but apparently it came like, yeah, it's got the feet and everything. Huh. Where you at on that?
5.
5? That's probably reasonable.
Yeah, because it come with the bottom, it would have had 4 10s.
Yeah.
It would kind of look the same.
Right. Well,
The 435, I think it's an Athena.
I might come back and see you before the end of the show about it. We'll talk about it. It's interesting. I've never seen one. Where are you based out of?
I live over in Drayford.
Where at?
Drayford.
Drayford here in Texas?
Yeah.
Okay.
PK Lake.
Uh-huh.
Over in that area.
I'm not too familiar with Texas. I'm from out of state. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, so I drove a long way to get here, man. Hell of a drive.
Yeah, that last old filler I was talking to there was a really nice guy. And then I ran into this, a 1961 Magnatone 460 for $1,600. I mean, that right there is a good deal, really. That's their, that's one of their nicer amps, and that's a really good price on that. And that guy I was just talking to, that was a good price on that Magnatone head too. I thought $500. I mean, and that was his asking price, and I know I could have talked him down. It did end up buying something from him. I'll show you guys later.
83 stereo. Wow.
This is the one.
Did you have the? Did you replace these top speakers?
Yeah, because those old Jensens were just so fried. I mean, I still have all of them. One of them has a ripped cone. They're just so flimsy, you know.
Are they included with that?
I'll send them to you. I
Yeah.
don't have them here, but if you want them, you're welcome to have them. Yeah, you can
Yeah, that's got to be one. I think that's definitely one of the rarer models. You just don't see those every day.
when you play it in the stereo, when you turn it up, those little funky speakers, they really break up a lot.
Yeah.
But if you turn it onto the mono thing, you just get to 12 and
Yeah, and it actually does have a trim. The trim doesn't go. It doesn't. It's not stereo trim, is it?
well, it is, but I don't know that it's working right now.
Right.
I mean, I tried to, I don't know.
I'd have to look at the circuit to refresh my memory. I've never worked on one of these. I worked on most Gibsons, but never that one.
You know what's cool about this also? Check this out. Gibson made these roller plates that, look,
Oh, that's actually, yeah, okay. That's cool. Is that the original one?
as far as I mean, look at it.
Yeah, it must be.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, that would be a necessity with that one probably, with all the speakers in it.
Well, So, you know, it's heavy, but it's not stupid. I mean, it's not as heavy as that thing.
So yeah, yet another really cool Gibson amp there that we just saw. And here, this is a Hiwatt PA system. I didn't even know Hiwatt made PAs until seeing this one. And I looked back at the footage and I noticed there was one in another booth as well. So there were 2 of these PAs at this show. And check out this amazing RCA meter right here. This thing is the size of a guitar body. I mean, it's bigger than that PV bass body right there. There's also a wire recorder in this booth. This booth had lots of cool stuff, and they knew me, and had a good time hanging out with them. I wish I had gotten more video at their booth. Also, there was an inordinate amount of Kiss collectibles at this show, and vinyl and stuff like that, old concert t-shirts. The biggest booth for that I did get some film of, but I'm not going to include it in this video. Follow me on Locals if you want to see more of that. Okay, guys, that'll do it for this video series on the 2023 Dallas International Guitar Festival. Of course, there were a lot of performances each day I didn't film. I'm sure there will be other videographers out there who captured some of that. I encourage you to seek that stuff out. Monty Montgomery was a particular standout to me. I managed to catch part of his performance, which was absolutely amazeballs. So definitely look him up. Also, Orianthi was there, Eric Johnson, Greg Koch, with whom I had dinner on Friday night, Ken and Penny from Reverend Guitars, Jen from Soldier Straps, the dudes from Heritage Guitars. A special thanks to Brian and Jeff from Low End Bass, who got me the exhibitor pass through their booth. You guys are amazing. Your basses are amazing. Thanks to TJ Armstrong for your friendship and for driving my ass over 20 hours to be at this thing. Love you, brother. And finally, I want to dedicate this series to our late friend Mike from CGS, also known as China Guitar Skeptic, who recently passed away from amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, also known as ALS. This is just the sort of jaunt he would have loved if he was still with us, and his passing has left a hole in our little YouTube guitar community that's going to be very, very difficult to fill. But it also reminds us to cherish each day we get to be alive and get to play our instruments. So rest in peace, Mike. I love you, brother. Okay, finally back home in Kentucky. Ran into some weather on the way back from Nashville. But I got some things I'm going to pull out of the car here and see what all we got at the show. You can see it's a Newcomb, but it's got a speaker on this side, and then another speaker, and this box separates. And here are the speakers. So we have two Newcomb labeled Oxfords. You can see there. 465 Oxford speaker. Model's a 12JB-22. 19, I would say this is 57. Alnicos, two of them. So that's cool. This is the amplifier. So this, you see power on and off with the tone, and then a volume. And this has the same handle as the other piece there. So I think these probably were sold as a set because the cover is the same and everything too. Breaks out and we have a schematic here. What is this? This is a model M5. It's kind of hard to monitor this at the same, to film at the same time, so I can't really see, but there it is, model M5. But you see it's a little SQ7 front end into a 6V6 single-ended with a 6X5 rectifier. So that's what we have in here. So that's a Rolla speaker from 1957, same year as these speakers. So this is all the 1957 little set. And then I got this guy. So this is a Vibrolux reverb. It's got a little bit of grill pulling on the side there. I can fix that. No big deal. Pretty clean other than that. They have one cigarette, little spot there on it. It's not really a cigarette burn, it's something. Original speakers. Okay, so these are the Oxfords. 019, so it's 1970. And we'll get a closer look at that later on. Guy said it was red plating tubes, so it's going to need some work. And I pretty much figured that for what I put into it. At the end of the day, I think I'm going to come out okay. So I got this plush head also. This one is black. It's the same as my other plush head that I've had on the channel, and I still own it. It's in red covering though. This one's in black. This is a P1000S, and this thing is in great shape. The reason I bought this is because it was cheap, and I gave 220 bucks for it. This thing has 4 original GE power tubes, and I didn't really look at the preamp tubes, but I'm assuming because these are GEs that these are probably legit too. They're probably original. The power cord's all chewed up, and I wasn't about to plug it in and test it. I'm just presuming. Obviously, it's going to need work, you know, like most vintage amps. But for no more than I put into it, that's a steal. So this one is a Electrolab. Electrolabs were made in Cicero, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago. And I had never seen this one in person. I've done some Electrolabs on the channel before. This is an R7, what is this, a 70, is it a 700? Not sure. I think it's an R700. Kind of hard to see there, but you can see the R70. I think it started life possibly as a bass amp, but it has 2 inputs: bass, treble, volume, standby, and on, fuse. Got a 15. The reason I say it's probably a bass amp is because we have a 15-inch speaker. Here's the main reason I bought this. Yeah, it's definitely a bass amp because it's got a little tweeter and a 15. But check out the speaker that's in it. It's a C15P, and it is a Jensen from 1966. So this amp is a 66. You can see it's got this Jensen's little sticker on it. So the speaker itself and all these tubes, the output tubes, are 7189s, which are, and they say they're made in Germany, so they're probably Telefunken. And then we've got Made in Holland Bugle Boys on both of these. So we've got Bugle Boys and then Telefunken 7189s, a Jensen speaker inside of this Electrolab amplifier from 66. Probably pretty original, I would guess, because it has the original cord still. You know, if somebody was going to service it, they probably would have changed the cord. So I'm guessing I've got a lot of original stuff there. And for 125 bucks, I couldn't pass that up. I mean, probably just one of those tubes on the right day might bring that, but they definitely both would. I think the handle is just about on its last leg. It's about to give out, so I might have to end up doing something about that. But neat piece for like I said, it was total whim that I bought it. It just happened to be cheap. The guy had 200 bucks on it. He looked at me and he knew who I was. He said, "Okay, for you today only, 125 bucks." I was like, oh shit. I was like, I gotta stop looking at stuff. I shook his hand and took it. This was another case of the guy recognized me. He was like, "Hey, Guitologist." He kind of hollered at me across from this booth. I was recognized quite a lot there, which was kind of off-putting, I guess, and disconcerting. I'm not really used to it, you know, messing around in Louisville, because unless you're around a big group of people who do the same thing as you, you don't really run into that sort of thing. But recognized a lot, and this is one of the guys who recognized me, and he said, "Hey man," he said, "because it's you, I'll sell you this for I think we ended up on 120 bucks. So this will be a modification video in the future. Modify one of these the way I do on these Epiphones, and then just the speaker cab alone, because it's a 112. I think it's going to come in pretty useful to me, because I don't have any 112 cabs at the moment, and it'll be nice to have a 112 for a change instead of having to run everything through a 212 for demonstration purposes. But it's got an eminence in it. It's a Lucky Lady eminence. So those were the ones that they made, I think, specifically, or badged specifically for Epiphone for these things, and some other models as well in this same lineup. Then I've got one more thing. I've got this. Let me get it out and we'll take a look at it. Okay, so this is one of those things you kind of look at when you get it home and ask yourself, why the hell did I buy this thing? Well, I'm still asking myself that right now, but they said, I think several other people at the show said that this was like the 4th or 5th show that this particular amp had been there, and they were just kind of sick of seeing it. So armed with that information, I went to the owner and I was like, tell me the story on this thing. I was like, why is it checkerboarded like this? Because I was getting some Rick Nielsen vibes, you know, just looking at it. And of course they changed the grill on it too to be a little bit more roadworthy, because this is a metal grill instead of the standard like cloth grill that would have been on the Lab Series L5, which is what this is, by the way. If you don't know, the Lab Series L5 was the BB King amp he pretty much used for most of his the end of his career. You know, I think starting about the time these came out, late 70s, early 80s, up until the end of his career, he used these things all the time. Also, the Ty Tabor from King's X is famous for using these, and they get just killer overdrive sounds, and really some of the best solid state sounds that you can get, in my opinion, in a vintage amp. Designed by Bob Moog and distributed by Norland, who also owned Gibson. So anyway, that's the story on the amplifiers, but the story on this particular example is he bought it from a guy who had 3 of these things that were painted the same way. So this is one of 3 that was like this, and I don't know, it kind of sent me into overdrive just wondering who owned this thing. Was this owned by a rock star, essentially, on some stage? Because who would buy 3 of the same thing and then modify it to be more roadworthy like this? Usually only somebody who's doing a big show, you know. So that was my thinking on it. And plus they'd already done some upgrades to it. The original speakers have been changed out to some, there's a Jensen there, and then there's I guess this is probably a Eminence. It's hard to see, but I think it's a Fender label Eminence over here. So good speakers in this thing. It's very heavy. It's got those big magnets to lug around, so it adds to the weight. But like I said, man, you know, who would do this? Who would do this to 3 different amplifiers of the same type if it's not some kind of rock star owned thing that went on a tour at some point? You know, so that kind of intrigued me, and it really didn't turn me off as far as it's not original, you know, because it's not like a Lab Series is really all that collectible, but people that know about these do look for them. So he had this on here, $350, and you know, I wasn't prepared to pay that, but I did want to learn more about it. And like I said, I was already armed with some information from some other vendors that had said that the thing had been there for a while. He had been bringing it to 3 or 4 different shows, and it did not move. So usually when you get information like that, somebody's probably willing to deal and sick of carrying it back and forth, right? And that was the case here. So I ended up offering him, I think, $220 for this one too. I think we settled on $220, and so that's what I got that for. So we're looking at $220, I think. $220 on this one too, which is coincidental. This is my favorite bid of the weekend, was $220. And then I've got the better part of $1,000 in this one, and there's meat on the bone still after the service, I believe. And then I've got this thing, like I said, I think I had $120 or $125 in this one. 120, I think. That one was $125, and that one was also $125. So I don't know. I think I did okay. I went with a PRS Custom 22 tin top with birds from 2002, and I pretty much sold that the first day and ended up bringing back all this stuff and still had some money left over, so I think I did okay. But anyway, that's going to do it for this trip. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, hit subscribe, and we will see y'all later.